You can cut AML false positives without going blind on real risk. Most teams don't. Not because they can't, but because they are tuning for fear instead of tuning for risk. Let me show you the difference because it's the whole game. Here's the situation in almost every AML shop I've seen. The alert queue is enormous. Analysts are working thousands of alerts a month, and something like 90 to 95% of them go nowhere. False positives, noise. And everybody in the building knows it. So why doesn't the team just tune the rules down? Simple, because a missed alert can end a career. Think about the asymmetry. If you tune too tight and you miss something that later becomes a headline, an enforcement action, a consent order, that's your name on the wrong side of it. If you tune too loose and you flood the queue, well, nobody gets fired for having too many alerts. They just get burned out. So the rational move for an individual protecting a career is to over-alert. Turn every threshold down. Catch everything, even at the cost of catching almost nothing useful. And that's the trap. The team optimizes for looking careful instead of being effective. The real risk, that thin sliver at the bottom, gets buried under the noise the team created to protect itself. The fix is not looser rules. Anyone who tells you to just raise the thresholds and cut the queue is telling you to take on risk you can't defend. The fix is tuning you can prove. 3 moves. Let me walk you through them. Move 1. Stop judging everyone by the same rules. Here's the most common design flaw I see. A monitoring system runs the same threshold across the entire customer base. Say, flag any cash deposit over $10,000 or any month where transaction volume jumps 50%. Now think about who that rule hits. A neighborhood bakery that has a good holiday season and deposits more cash than usual. And a money services business moving cross-border remittances all day, which is genuinely higher risk. The same rule treats them identically. The bakery generates a false positive every busy month. The MSB, which should be watched closely, might slide right through a threshold that was set for retail behavior. This is exactly what the risk-based approach is supposed to fix. FATF has said it plainly for years. You match the intensity of your monitoring to the risk the customer actually presents. That is the foundation of the standard. So the first move is real customer segmentation. Group customers by the risk they actually carry. Business type, geography, product usage, expected activity. Then set thresholds per segment, not one blanket number. When you do this, 2 things happen at once. The low-risk segments stop generating garbage alerts because the thresholds finally reflect how those customers normally behave. And the high-risk segments get tighter scrutiny because you're no longer forced to set one threshold loose enough to survive the whole book. You cut false positives and you sharpen coverage on real risk. Same move. That's the point. Segmentation is not a way to watch less. It's a way to watch smarter. Move 2. Alert on deviation from a customer's own pattern, not on a blanket number. Segmentation gets you tiers. But even inside a tier, a static threshold is a blunt instrument. $10,000 is a lot for one customer and a Tuesday for another. Look at these two. Customer A normally moves about $2,000 a month, then suddenly moves $9,000. Under a $10,000 rule, that's invisible, nothing fires. But for this customer, a 4.5 times jump is a screaming anomaly. Customer B moves $40,000 a month every month and always has. A $9,000 transaction from customer B is a slow day. A blanket threshold gets both of these wrong. It misses A and it would nag B. This is the difference between static rules and behavioral analytics. Instead of one fixed line, you build a baseline of what normal looks like for each customer, their own history, their own peers. Then you alert when they deviate from that baseline in a way that doesn't fit. Now, one hard rule here, and this matters for how you present it to a regulator. The behavioral model does not decide anything. It surfaces a deviation and hands it to an analyst with the context. Here's the customer's normal, here's what they did, here's why it broke the pattern. A person reviews it, a person makes the call. The model narrows where humans look. It never replaces the human judgment or the human accountability. Behavioral baselining is where the biggest false positive reduction usually comes from. Because most of your noise is normal customers tripping thresholds that were never built around them. You give each customer a baseline, and the alerts start firing on things that are actually strange. Move 3, and this is the one that separates a defensible program from a lucky one. Governance. Because here's what every AML leader is really afraid of when someone suggests tuning. It's not the tuning, it's the exam. It's an examiner sitting across the table asking, you raised this threshold in March. Why? Show me your work. If your answer is we felt it was too noisy, you're going to have a bad day. If your answer is a documented analysis, you're fine. Same change, completely different outcome, and the only difference is the evidence behind it. So every threshold change has to be an evidence trail, not a decision made in someone's head. And the industry already has the technique for this. It's called above the line and below the line testing. Above the line, you look at the alerts the threshold is currently generating and measure how many are productive. Below the line, and this is the part that protects you, you sample the activity that fell just under the threshold, the stuff you would stop seeing if you tuned it, and you check whether you're about to miss anything real. If the below the line population is clean, you have evidence the change is safe. You write that down, you keep the sample, you date it, and you get it signed off. That's what rule and model validation is really for. Not a box to tick. It's the difference between we changed a threshold and we changed a threshold. Here's the testing that proves it didn't open a hole. Here's who approved it. Here's the date it took effect. One of those you can defend, the other one ends careers, which is exactly the fear that started this whole mess. Do this, and something quietly changes in the room. Your analysts stop tuning for fear because the evidence, not their gut, is now carrying the risk. That's how you get people comfortable cutting the noise. Step back for a second, because there's a scoreboard problem underneath all of this. A giant alert queue was never the goal. The goal is quality suspicious activity reports, the ones that actually help law enforcement. And you cannot write good SARs when your analysts are triaging thousands of junk alerts a month. Depth loses to volume every time. FinCEN and examiners have been signaling this for a while. They want SAR quality over SAR volume. A smaller number of well-investigated, well-documented reports beats a mountain of thin ones. So when you cut false positives the right way, you're not just saving analyst hours, you're freeing your best people to do the deep work on the alerts that matter. Which brings me to the one question that reframes the whole thing. Don't ask, how do we file fewer alerts? Ask, can we prove why we are not looking here? If the answer is yes, with evidence, you tune. If the answer is no, you don't. Fear stops being the driver, proof takes over. I'm building FluxForce for exactly this. AI agents that work AML alerts, apply the customer's own baseline, and leave an examiner-ready evidence trail for every step, while the human analyst still owns the decision. Aiden Flux does this on the fraud side today. If your team is tuning for fear instead of risk, or you fought the below-the-line testing battle with an examiner, tell me how it went. What did you change and could you prove it? Those stories shape what I'm building more than any spec. Links in the description. See you in the next.